Alright, so today we're going to be jumping back into the KDX 250 project. If you are new to the channel, this is my budget built KDX 250. It's a 1994 model. We basically just did a cosmetic refresh on it, new bearings on the chassis and all that, because the motor had a fresh rebuild. We recently took it for its first shakedown. A couple of things that need some work: the brakes, the suspension, and the major issue that we're going to be addressing today is the power valve that broke. So as you can see here, this is the old power valve that we kind of just glued back together just to do a test, but it broke right there. I am lucky enough to have a father-in-law with some machining tools. He has a lathe and a mill, and he turned me 2 sets of these power valves. You'll notice that the new power valves don't have this boost port cut in. Unfortunately, we did not have the correct dividing head to cut in that little port. You need a dividing head that can be installed on the lathe and calibrated to the lathe, because it needs to do the rotational movement and the lateral movement to cut it in. But on my KDX, as you'll see, that port is completely blanked off, and I thoroughly inspected the ports in here and the head, and those ports are blanked off. So I don't see that they have a function on my bike. But I'm going to go ahead and take the spare set and have them draw up in CAD so that we can send it off to a shop with a CNC machine to have this cut in, or engineering shop that has the right tools. So we've got the whole power valve setup laid out here. We're going to install it in the head and in the barrel, and then we're going to throw it on the bike. We also got a top-end gasket set from EMD Racing. They seriously hooked it up for me. This was the last one they had in stock, and just so you guys can reference, this is a Wiseco gasket set. It fits 91 to 94 KDX 250 or 8889 KX 250, and that's what the KDX 250 motor is based on. So if you guys want to get it from EMD Racing, if you're in South Africa, or if you're looking to buy it from Wiseco, there is the part number. I've got everything fairly cleaned up. Not as clean as this KTM barrel though. If you guys don't know, I've got a 2012 KTM 300 as well. It's scattered all over the garage in a million pieces. As soon as we get the KDX to a point where it's reliable, then we'll jump into that project. We're going to do some real nice stuff with that. So yeah, that's enough chit chat. Let's throw the top end together. Even though it seems like my workshop is pretty clean, it's always good to just take a clean rag or some shop rags or whatever and just clean everything before you start throwing it back together. It doesn't matter how clean you keep your garage, there will always be dust. So especially if you're new to doing mechanical stuff or working on a bike, car, whatever, make sure everything is as clean as possible before you do assembly. Now we're going to throw the power valve setup together, and I've got some 2-stroke in a little bottle cap here. I'm just going to lightly lube everything up when I put it back together, just so on first start up, you know, there's no metal to metal contact. Everything is nicely lubed up. I want to make sure that the power valve is fine licking.
tight. Let's see what they make. It's a flash with the bolt. I'll use some intermediary here. Intermediary here. But I'm going to do that very well. Common point of failure are these C-clips on the galleon rod. So this is here, this outlet, two little C-clips, and the actual expectation that we can be power valves. So when you install them, make sure they fit nice and snug. Got the power valve.
Okay, so I've got just some painter's tape stuck over the power valves just so they don't fall off while we're trying to install the barrel. On the piston, there's specific points where the rings need to sit, so it's going to be quite tricky to install the barrel and keep the rings in the correct orientation. So let's snake the barrel in here first.
Als de links bij de
So you saw me struggle a bit in that last clip. So I was running into issue where when I when I tightened down the barrel, that the power valve would bind up. So what the issue was, I can show you on the spare set. You can see there that it's got a bit of like a curve to it. It's not a hard edge there where the shaft meets the gear. And on this one it's got a bit of a harder edge. Now this is worn in a bit, but I measured and it was out by like 1 or 2 millimeters. So I just took a file and hand finished it to get that flush, and I polished up the ones in the bike a little bit more. And now I've got the head, the barrel torqued down to 34 Newton meters as per the manual, and now it's not binding up anymore. So it's running smooth. Now we're going to throw on the head, get that torqued down, and continue the assembly from there. I took all the head studs out when I disassembled everything just to clean them up. I've got them installed again with some anti-seize, and I got them torqued down. So the head bolts need to be torqued down to 25 Newton meters. So I'm going to adjust the torque wrench and throw it on and get it torqued down.
and that's the head torqued down. Everything still rotates smoothly, actuates smoothly. Now we can start throwing the accessories back on, the water pump or the thermostat cover, the water neck over here, the governing arm or governing actuator or whatever for the power valve, the reed block, the engine mounts, all that good stuff. So I'm going to throw you guys onto a time lapse and then we'll take it from there. We've got most of the accessories back on. We don't have the cover for this. My father-in-law is still turning a new or milling a new cover. I had a KDX 251, but it's kind of mismatched, so that's still going to come in. The only thing left that we have to throw on is the expansion chamber. We've got some new O-rings and stuff for that, but I do not have any coolant, and I need to change the oil, the gear oil as well, and I might as well get a new spark plug because that one is, well, it's not that old, it's not even got 2 hours on it, so that might still be fine. But I want to change the gear oil, I need to grab coolant, so I'm quickly going to run to the shop, get those supplies, and then we'll throw the expansion chamber on, put some gas in it, and then we'll see if it starts. Okay, so we've got some fresh 95 octane gas in it, mixed with the Motul 710 2-stroke oil at a 45:1 ratio. We've got the radiators filled with coolant. Now we're going to give it a first start and bleed the coolant, check for leaks, make sure it's running properly. Yeah, so enjoy, and then after that we'll take it for a little spin. So we've got the bike back together, filled up with coolant and fuel, blade the coolant. Now we're just going to take it for a safe and respectable little street rip. Not ideal, but want to test it out, so let's go.
Okay, so unfortunately, well, fortunately, the power valves are now functioning correctly. When it hits the power band, it's got some good power, but it's still running too rich in the mid-range. I was hoping that the power valve functioning not as it should would have contributed to that. So now I'm back on the struggle of finding a different needle for this carb, and this flange is kind of bent, so it's still leaking a little bit, but a lot less than what it was. I need to get the shocks and the forks serviced. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're definitely gonna see if we can get a needle and take it for a rip this weekend. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.